what you need to make and how much profit.
Fuck, I didn't start it.
You actually, yeah, but why would you interrupt me as I'm fucking doing my intro? Like,
so I could get us an
ew.
intro.
If you want to own your own gym or open a facility of any kind, it's super important you have an accurate representation of how much it's going to cost on a monthly basis. Now, to be honest, most people do a terrible job of running the numbers accurately. So in this video, I'm going to break down every expense that you guys can think of when it comes to running a gym and show you guys some of the hidden expenses you wouldn't normally see people talk about or even just think about yourself. Is owning a gym or trying to open a gym for the pure
It didn't fly for 1 second. It's not my fault.
So recently I've also had a bunch of people reach out asking if renting the gym alone is a good business model. It definitely can be, but again, I'm gonna break down these numbers for you guys so you guys can see that it's not just the lease that you have to take into consideration and why it's not that easy to open and run your own gym profitably. So the biggest mistake that most people make is just really taking the lease into consideration, right? So for example, my lease is $3,100 a month currently, and then most people would take that and say, okay, how many rentals do I need to do to break even? So in this example, if you're just taking the lease into consideration, you would need about 70 rentals per month if you're just taking 45 times whatever number it is. Now that number is 70, so okay, 70 hours a month of rentals. That's doable. We could do that.
We need to move Lonzo.
That ain't no problem.
Huh?
That ain't no problem.
Well,
And you can break even, right? Quote unquote. Again, this is the most obvious one, but there's so much more to it than just the lease payment every single month. All these numbers are going to differ. I'm just giving you guys the numbers in my area, in my gym, so you guys can work off of these. Now, Wi-Fi, heat, and electricity. So Wi-Fi is $120 a month. Electricity roughly is $150. It's usually more than that. And then heat is roughly $250 per month if you guys spread it out across the entire year. So again, not too bad, but this is where most people stop, right? Lease, Wi-Fi, utilities, and then heat or AC, right? Now at this point, we're only at about $3,600 per month in fixed costs. Again, still relatively doable, but we still have so many more hidden expenses and things that you guys wouldn't necessarily take into account. Now the next one, still kind of obvious, insurance, right? So usually you pay this up front at the beginning of the year. For me, this was $2,500, so this is roughly $210 per month. Again, tacking that right onto the $3,600 that we're already at. Now you have to pay that at the beginning of every year, like I said, so you should be putting that amount of money away per month, so that way when the next year rolls around, if you guys are still in business and still operating, you can pay that insurance. Now the next one, which in Massachusetts is pretty hefty, is your LLC filing fee, right? So if you have a gym, you most likely have an LLC. In some states, the fee is very minimal. In Massachusetts, it happens to be like $500.
I love Duncan, guy. What are you talking about?
So for me, that's another $45 per month that you have to tack on. Again, this is something that most people do not take into consideration, but this is something that you have to pay every single year. Now, the next one is a scheduling software or a website. These can be kind of tied together or they can be two separate things. For me, roughly, this is say $50 a month. Now this can be up to $100 or it can be $0. But even if you're trying to do everything yourself, scheduling through text messages, through calls, you should take this into consideration because at some point you're gonna need to do this if you want to at least have peace of mind and just be a little more organized and structured. So again, this is another monthly expense that people don't take into consideration, especially if you're not already doing it with your normal training business or whatever you're doing. So another expense is supplies, right? Bathroom supplies, office supplies, cleaning supplies. These things definitely add up. I would say this is roughly $50 a month. Again, there's way more things that you wouldn't think of in terms of supplies that you would need. People take things, you got to refill things. So yeah, $50 a month, add that right onto the monthly expenses to run your gym. The next one, again, people don't put away money for this or take this in consideration, is just upkeep, right? So example for my gym, you got to buy new fans. I had to get a dehumidifier. People steal basketballs, you got to replace the basketballs, air pumps, new chairs, right? These are things that might not happen on a monthly basis, but you need to put money away because again, you might go 3-4 months without having to really put any money into upkeep, and then all of a sudden you got to drop $600 on new basketballs, chairs, signs, all of these different things, right? They add up. Again, it's not necessarily a monthly expense, but this is something that you're going to need to constantly put money into to just keep the gym running and just keep it up to par. So I would say this is about $100 per month on average. You'll easily spend that amount of money. Again, depending on the size of your gym, it might be way more, but this is roughly what I would say I spend per month on upkeep. We're already at $4,065 in terms of your fixed monthly costs, right? These are all things that are pretty much non-negotiable. You're going to need to spend money on. So we went from $3,100 a month in what we would normally just consider what our monthly payment is, but now it's $4,065. So based on that number, now how many rentals do we need? So at this price, you would need 91 rentals per month just to break even, just to make $1 in profit. You're going to need 91 rentals. Still relatively doable, but if you're just opening, that's not a very easy number to achieve. Now, the next aspect is if you have other people that are assisting you. So for me, example, I could try to run everything myself, but I wouldn't really scale it. I wouldn't be able to make more money down the road. It would be a very tough process, and I'd also be working 365 days a year. So if you're trying to hire people, this is a whole nother aspect of expenses. So not only do you have to take into consideration what you'd be paying them, but you have the payroll registration, you have payroll tax, you have payroll service that you need to pay for. You also have accounting, whether you have an accounting software or you actually have an accountant. So for me, all of these things really add up. So for me, just to register to pay people was $400. My payroll taxes are probably, between all the other different things, is extra $250 a month. And then for an actual accountant, that's $800 a year. So if you add all of that up, that's roughly an extra $300 a month. A lot of it you pay all at once, but again, you need to kind of put that money aside so you have it ready to go for all of these expenses. This does not even include actually paying someone. These are just your fixed costs to run the gym and to just be able to pay other employees. So now we're at $4,400, again, not counting the payroll of actually paying somebody. So now the last thing to take into consideration, right? You take that number, 4,400, okay, I just need 100 rentals or whatever, right? But the other thing that most people do not take into consideration is if you're using an online payment merchant like Stripe or Square or something like that, they also take a fee out of every single transaction. So they usually take about 3%, somewhere in that ballpark, and then they also take a certain amount of cents on every single transaction. So again, have to take that into consideration, especially if you guys are already on tight margins as it is. So based on that number, right, 4,400, how many rentals do we need to just break even? We would truly need 101 rentals per month just to be able to break even, not counting if you're paying somebody. So that's what, 25 rentals per week? If you're paying people, that can easily get up to 5,000 into the 6,000s, and now you need 150 rentals per month just to be able to stay afloat and stay open, and you're still not even really making money yet. So these are all the little things that you need to take into consideration. Oh, I want to own a gym. I want to open a gym. Not only do you have to take into consideration the upfront costs, you have to take into consideration all of these small monthly costs that it's going to be. And then your profit, if you're just doing a rental gym, it can be really tough. Hopefully now you guys understand it. I'm not saying this to kind of defer you from opening a gym, but just so you have an accurate representation of what it actually takes, how much it actually costs to open and run your facility on a monthly basis. So I hope this video helped you guys. Now, if you guys want more resources, if you're actually serious about opening your own gym, Mastery Hoops, me and Coleman are releasing a course this Saturday on everything that you guys need to know, way more in depth than just this video, on how to open your own gym. Everything from looking to searching to running the numbers to filling your gym to growing your gym to hiring people. We have literally everything that you guys could need in terms of how to open and run your own facility. We're going to be dropping a course on that this Saturday, so just stay tuned for that. If you guys are interested, you can reach out to me. I can lead you guys to that course. So yeah, hopefully this helped you guys. Appreciate it. Drop a comment if you guys liked it, if you want to see more videos like this. If the numbers make sense for you when you're running them for your gym, go ahead, pull the trigger and do it. But if not, keep looking, find a way to make it work. Peace.